Good morning again. Wow, this room's really filled up. It's great to see everyone this morning. We're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. First of all, we'd like to start by recognizing and asking any veterans, active duty military members, and those currently serving to please stand so we can thank you for your service and sacrifices. And thank you. And now all please stand as the Longmont American Legion Post number 32 Honor Guard presents the colors and leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present arms. Ladies and gentlemen, before we do the pledge, if you're able to, please stand, put your hand over your heart. Then I'd like to see all those veterans render a military salute, which they are entitled to do. And if you are a veteran, be damn proud of it. You gave a portion of your life to serve our country. Would you please join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. Two. Order arms.
And now at this time, I'm going to ask you to take your seats as the Rangeview Elementary Trail Singers out of Severance make their way to the stage. It's going to take them a few minutes to get set up, and then we will rise again for our national anthem. And now please rise for the singing of our national anthem. A big thank you to the Rangeville Elementary Trail Singers. That takes a lot to get up in front of this many people. Yes, you can be seated. And I also want to thank the Longmont American Legion Post number 32, both for your service and for being here with us today. So honor guard, please bugle out. And now I'd like to invite Pete Highland, Board Vice Chair, to the stage for the invocation.
Good morning. I'm Pete Highland, and I'm one of the 9 board members here that represent Poudre Valley. I welcome you here today, and so if you would join me in a quick prayer, please. Gracious Father, thank you that we can gather here today and enjoy the fellowship with our members. We are grateful for all of the people with Poudre Valley REA that keep the power on each of our homes, places of business, and emergency response locations. We ask you to watch over each employee, our linemen who are at the ready 24/7, who, if the wind continues, some of these fine people will be leaving us so they can go out and keep that service running for you, along with the many devoted personnel who work diligently to keep our lights on and to live comfortably. We would also like to thank for this wonderful, imperfect country in which we live. Help us come together as a nation and heal the divide that is coming across our land. We ask that you guide our leaders to do what's right for this country instead of their personal agendas. Lord, would you also watch over each Poudre Valley member and get them home safely today? Lastly, would you help us all keep a grateful heart? In your name, amen.
Okay, we're going to start the morning off with a few introductions before we get into the business meeting. So I'd like to introduce your board of directors. Please hold the applause till the end. Board Chair Jack Schneider, accompanied by Beverly Schneider. And of course, you just saw Pete, so Board Vice Chair Pete Highland, accompanied by Nancy Highlands. Board Secretary Brian Ehrlich, accompanied by Mary Ehrlich. Director Steve Anderson, accompanied by Emmy Anderson. Director Cheryl Dreyer Henderson. Director Rick Johnson, accompanied by Nancy Johnson. Director Thane Mickey, accompanied by Marilyn Mickey. Director Jan Peterson, accompanied by Dale Carlin. And Director Ron Sutherland. Next, I would like to introduce to you our President and CEO, Jeff Wadsworth, who you'll hear from in a few minutes. Our corporate attorneys, Randolph Starr and Mike Westbrook. And then we have some former board members joining us today. We have Jim Fender and Jim Park. And then we also have a special guest with us. I'd like to introduce Jody Shattuck McNally. She is Larimer County Commissioner representing District 3. There are also a few board director candidates in attendance, so I'll ask the rest of you to sit down and then we'll introduce them. Thank you. So, oh, yes, thank you. Give them a round. So will the board candidates please stand and remain standing as your name is called? So for District L, position L2 in Larimer County, we have Steve Anderson. For District L, position L6 in Larimer County, we have Thane Mickey, Brian Holder, and Frank Ruby. And District W, position W1 in Weld County, we have Pete Highland and Maria Miller. So thank you for being here. All right, and then just a couple quick announcements, and we're going to give it back to Tony and then get this meeting started. So on your tables, you'll see some surveys. We always want to know what we can do better, whether it's at this meeting or in our day-to-day operations. So I encourage you to fill those out. There's also a QR code on the table tent if you would prefer. But you can just leave those on the table and we'll pick those up afterwards and get back with you if needed. So to keep things moving along as we get into the business portion of the meeting, I do ask that you keep all your questions and comments until the end of the meeting. Your board of directors and the staff will be available to answer any questions that you might have. So, but before I turn this mic over to get it kicked off, we're gonna go back to Tony and do some more door prizes. We are, at the moment, somehow right on time, so that's a good sign for the day. So what I'd like to do now is to introduce your board chair, Jack Schneider, to officially kick off your annual meeting.
Good morning. What an honor it is to be here with you this morning. I would like to thank each of you for being active members of our cooperative. Registration is now closed, and we will draw the grand prize winner of the $3,000 vacation voucher. The winner will be announced after the business meeting. All door prize winners at this point are back in the tumbler. Thank you, Amy. At this time, I would like to call the 2024 annual meeting of the Poudre Valley Rural Electric Association membership to order. Mr. Westbrook, do we have a quorum at today's meeting to conduct business? And can you please explain the election process?
Thank you, Chair Snyder. We do have a quorum present to conduct business as well as the election. At this time, the election is closed, and the results of the election will be announced later this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. We will read the minutes from last year's meeting unless there is a motion to dispense with the reading. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading? It has been moved to dispense with the reading of the last year's minutes. I will now give the chair's report. This year, Poudre Valley celebrates 85 years of continued service and commitment to our community. Back on November 2nd, 1939, 600 members came together to establish our cooperative. These founding members wanted and needed electricity at their homes and farms, but all of the other electric utilities at the time refused to provide it. With the formation of our new local electric cooperative, the REA started delivering something more than just electricity. They began powering and empowering our communities with their own version of the cooperative difference, the Poudre Valley difference. After 85 years, our area isn't as small as rural as it once was. As the needs of our communities change, your cooperative continues to change. This goes beyond the need for safe, reliable, and affordable energy services. It includes supporting our communities by providing programs like free electrical safety demonstrations and continuing education scholarships for high school seniors. Another way the Poudre Valley difference shines is by providing grants to fund STEM projects in classrooms across Larimer, Weld, and Boulder counties. One teacher who was recently selected to receive a grant was Kathy Schrady, a 6th grade science teacher at Severance Middle School and sponsor of the after-school club called Engineering Brightness. Under Kathy's guidance, students are building solar lanterns to donate to a community in Africa that does not have access to electricity. The lanterns will provide much-needed light, enabling 8th grade students to better prepare for their rigorous exams. I hope you enjoy this video as you hear from Kathy and her students.
My name is Liam. I am in 6th grade. We are making these lights to send them off to Malawi. They're studying a lot because at the end of the year, they have to take this huge test, and if they don't pass the test, they just can't learn anymore.
My name's Kathy Schradel, and I'm a 6th grade science teacher here at Severance Middle School. So 30 years ago, I got the opportunity to go and visit my sister, who was a Peace Corps volunteer in Malawi. They had electricity for about 8 hours a day. At the end of 8 hours, the lights went out, and then we had to use candlelight. Just kind of started thinking at that point how disruptive that had to be to live a life that without electricity. And that was when we had electricity for 8 hours.
I am Sam Taggart, Strategic Communications Director at Poudre Valley REA. Poudre Valley REA is a local electric cooperative that serves about 55,000 homes and businesses in northern Colorado. So one of our core principles is concern for community. It's a big part of what we do here at Poudre Valley REA. Everything we do is rooted in our community, is very member-focused. We live and work right here, so it's important that we support those in our communities. So we're really proud to support projects like Kathy's at Severance Middle School, where they're helping communities across the globe. They're building solar lanterns for communities in need. to provide lighting for students who are taking big exams.
My name is Nabil Nieto, and I'm in 6th grade. I wanted to join because I feel like I want to help the kids in Malawi too.
You don't really have electricity in Malawi, so they do everything by candlelight. So we're making them these so they can study a lot more and hopefully pass that test.
These lanterns are specifically going to a school in Malawi. The school has no electricity. None of the people at the school have any access to electricity. It's about 3,000 students. Students don't get education like we do here. They do have to pay for it. But not only do they have to pay for it, they have to pass tests every step of the way in order to be able to stay in school. At the end of their 8th grade year, there's a very significant test. So there's a lot of independent studying that has to happen.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
So my name is Jeremiah Aiden Rivera, and I'm in grade 6. Oh, doing a project like this would also definitely make me want to do another project like this in the future.
The hardest thing about any kind of STEM curriculum or STEM process is it costs money.
The Empower grants provide funding to teachers throughout Larimer, Weld, and Boulder counties. Teachers are awarded up to $2,000 per classroom project per year.
The grant process was really easy. And it was a really straightforward process, and I feel really honored to have been awarded.
As a power provider, electricity touches everyone. Everyone needs electricity, especially in today's age, right? But what makes us different is we're a local power provider. We're your local co-op. I think that's a bit different because we're built by and for our members. So we are your friends, your families, your neighbors. You're seeing us in the streets, at ball games, at school functions, church events. Those kind of community engagements is what being a co-op and being a cooperative member is really all about. So these kids get the opportunity to not only do some good here locally, but also, maybe all the way out across the ocean, maybe all the way out in Africa, which is pretty neat.
One of my favorite things is when kids make mistakes on the boards and they have to fix them and they have to learn something. And that's where they get to be really proud, because it's great when it works the first time, but when it doesn't work and they have to figure it out, that's really where the power comes from, and that's where they learn, oh, I can do anything that I try.
What's exciting is that I'm able to help send lanterns to kids who need it, and also making the lanterns are just fun, Be able to help all of these students help is just fun, and I also get to be a hero, kind of.
Kathy Schrady is here with us today, as well as John Howe, co-founder of Engineering Brightness, and board member Mark Waldo. Will you and your students in attendance please stand to be recognized? Thank you for all your hard work to make a positive impact on the lives of others. At this time, I would like to have your cooperative president and CEO, Jeff Wadsworth, provide an update.
Well, good morning, and what a beautiful morning it is, even with that wind. This is a great crowd. I was down at Buc-ee's the other day, and I think we may be just a little bit, well, actually, Buc-ee's was more crowded than here. So the Poudre Valley difference. First, on behalf of all the employees, and you're going to hear that is the Poudre Valley difference, is the employees. at least the main one. I want to welcome and thank you for being here. If this is your first time, a special welcome to you. I hope you make this a routine event. It's an honor for us to serve you. And this morning, as we unpack the Poudre Valley difference, and we celebrate 85 years. 85 years is a long time to be in business. It is. And the Poudre Valley difference, I think it's good to take a step back and look at how we were formed and the conditions that we were formed. It happened back in 1939. And there is a lot of things going on in this world right now. And sometimes it seems incredibly fast-paced, the conflict, all the things associated with everything going out, not only in our country, but the world. But let's take a step back and put a 1939 hat on and look at everything that was going on then when this co-op was formed by the founding families. It amazes me as we walk through this. It's going to be quick. So at that time, a World's Fair was a really big deal. It's where the technology was shown. And it happened to be in New York. And what was the big thing in 1939 at the New York Fair? A television. That was 85 years ago. A TV was the big thing. Now, I still remember, I'm probably the last generation where my job was to be the remote control. You know, my dad would hit me, get up there and change that channel. You know, we had 3 channels. I got to run up there and change it. But a TV, that was 85 years ago. It seems a long time ago. Just take a step back and think back in the 50s when the TV started coming into play. So that technology, when you think about all the technology we have there, think about how amazing the TV is. It really is. But there was other things happening in 1939 too as well. So you had the TV, but the big thing to do was to go watch movies. What were the big movies in 1939? The middle one, what is that? That's right. Of course, Wizard of Oz. Come on, Brian. No, anyways, the one with the Western. Stagecoach. And who was the big star in Stagecoach? John Wayne. And when we were putting these slides together, when I was wrapping it up, I could not believe it. I went home, sat down that night, turned on the TV, and I kid you not, Stagecoach was on. I just was like, it has to be. I couldn't believe it. I just like, oh my gosh. My wife, she's like, I know you like John Wayne, but why are you that excited? I'm like, well, come on. Like, I can't believe it. So it had to be. So that was the entertainment and the technology that was happening in 1939, the year we were formed. And again, when 600 families got together, because nobody else would serve rural America, and certainly this area in rural. They said, we're going to do this. And you think of everything that was going on in 1939 and going on right now, well, there was something else going on in 1939 as well, too. Well, the Depression, yes, but there was something else, even I would argue, even much bigger than the Depression. Really, the start of World War II. So put that into the context of where we were sitting in 1939. No electricity in 75% of America, 70% of Colorado. No electricity. The haves were the cities, the urban areas. The nots, well, they were the rural areas. And this was happening at the same time, the bombing. Just picture yourself back in that time saying, we're going to stand up and we're going to form and do this amazing thing of providing electricity, really the miracle of electricity. And that happened in 1939. 600 families came together and said, we're going to do this. But that did just happen here in Colorado. The story of the cooperatives is a movement. It's an amazing movement. And it was happening across the nation. And in a church,
with each new day.
No, in a church, see if I can go back, in a church, a farmer sat down in front of and gave testimony about really the miracle of electricity. And what he said was, brothers and sisters, I want to tell you this. The greatest thing on earth is to have God in our heart, and the next greatest thing is to have electricity in your house. And just pause and think about everything that electricity does. It truly is amazing, and if we don't have that, what that would look like to our communities, to our country, and even the world. You can see the great work that's going on here to try to provide a little bit of light, still in Africa, that desperately needs to be lit up with electricity. So great job. So what did that look like in terms of lighting up the United States? As I talked about, 70%, 75% did not have electricity in the rural areas. And the co-ops banded together. And during that time, look at that take place. Look at the different co-ops. 850 plus co-ops across this great nation and the fabric of the communities. And to be able to do that, to me, in that quick of a time, it still makes me go, wow, holy cow. If they can do that, and everything that's going on in our world right now, and the energy transition that we're going to see, and that we are seeing, that we're leaning into, I know we can do that. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to be able to do that and come out way ahead. So 85 years later, Poudre Valley, what do we look like? Well, we started off, I talked about those founding families in 1940. Today, you can see the increased services over time. As everyone that's here knows, this area is growing. It is growing very quickly, and I'm incredibly proud of the employee team in order to meet that. There are so many different things that you have to do, materials, all the different things that have to be done, and we've done that, and we've done that in a meaningful way. But there's also some, I think, some great news. Reliability. Where are we at with reliability? And we've talked about this before. You certainly read our Call to Country Life. If you don't, please do. But we promote and we talk about what we've done for reliability. And it's been significant. And again, the numbers do show when it comes to reliability of where we're sitting at. Keep in mind the rural areas that we serve. And they are. And so that requires more lines. That requires less meters to recover our investment of what we look like. We have overhead lines, but we actually compare to municipals when we look at our reliability of where we're sitting at. We're actually, as you can see, in terms of quartiles, in this case, it's a good thing to be in the first quartile. Your co-op has some of the best reliability, not only in Colorado, but the nation. I hope you're as proud of that as we are, because that is a great accomplishment. Yeah. And that's the Poudre Valley difference. Now, affordability. As an old bean counter, where my grandma, I still remember her sitting at the kitchen table, and she used to have 1 foot over her shoe. I would ask her, it's like, why do you do that? She's like, well, when I grew up, my parents couldn't afford shoes. I grew up in the Depression, and I had a hole in my shoe. And that's the reason I sit like that all the time. That made a meaningful difference in my life. And it's something that, from an affordability standpoint, I know what that means. When you're watching your expenses, when the cost of everything else has gone up, and what does that look like? Well, being a Poudre Valley member, I mean, I want to shout on the rooftop, on the mountain, about what it means about being a Poudre Valley member. Let me show you these 2 slides, and you're going to see what it means. At a national level and a Colorado level, you can see, being Poudre Valley, 11.12 cents, what you're paying. It's almost 2.5 cents better than any one or average of Colorado. National, you can see what that means. So let's take a deeper look at that, of what that means. What that means, here's the average monthly bill for all Colorado electric utilities, rather than municipals, rather than their co-ops or investor owns. And your co-op We are the best, plain and simple. You have the lowest rates. Yeah. What does that mean? Well, if you were served by Xcel Energy, you'd be paying almost, on average, $500 more a year. $500 more a year. City of Fort Collins, on average over the entire year, depending on your usage characteristics, because they have different rates, but almost $400 a year. And if you were lucky enough to live in Pueblo, no, I shouldn't say, hey, I'm a Colorado native, I can say that. So in Pueblo, Black Hills Energy, the investor owned down there, you'd be paying over $1,000 more a year for electricity. Your board of directors and your staff take great pride in the fact that we are focused on reliability and affordability and what that means to you. That's money that you can go spend, put in the local economy, help pay for your kids' activities, all the things that are associated with that. Electricity is a necessity, and it's something that we're greatly proud of. Now, does that mean that we're going cheap when it comes to our member service? That we're not providing great member service? Mm-mm. Our goal is not just to meet, our goal is to exceed your expectations. And every employee leans into that. They believe that, and they know that one employee can make a difference in one member's life. And if you make a difference in one member's life, that can make a difference in more. And that is our focus. So how does that live out in terms of the Poudre Valley difference? Well, this last year, we go out and we look at the American Customer Satisfaction Index. It's an index that is taken across the country, not only for co-ops, not only for electric utilities, investor-owns, it's even taken for like Chick-fil-A, et cetera. But we were in the top 5 in terms of the ACSI score for utilities, and it's sitting at an 89. And you can compare to what others are sitting at. The co-ops are at a 74, the IOUs at a 72. I was a little bit surprised on the municipals this last year at a 71. But that 89, that's something that we lean into. And not too long ago, 10 years ago, we were sitting in the upper 70s. And our focus has been to provide exceptional member service. It's something that all the employees and the board believes in and something that we're focused on. And we are thrilled the fact that the score came back to show that. And we still have a march to 90, that's what we call it. And I told the employee team if we meet 90, we're gonna have a big celebration. Well, hopefully people don't remember exactly what I said because they're gonna hold me to it. But it is gonna be, if we get to 90, it is gonna be a fun time, I can tell you that much. So as we sit there and we set that stage, I just briefly want to talk about, you saw the Poudre Valley difference. Part of the Poudre Valley difference is we're not worried or afraid when it comes to what the future holds. We're leaning into that. Right after me, you're going to hear from Jay Sturhan from Tri-State that's going to talk about how they're focused on reliability in this changing energy landscape that we see that's going to help on the bulk electric grid, which is incredibly important. You guys read the articles, you see what happens. But if you recall, that storm that took place down in Texas 3 years ago that had widespread outages and big implications, Xcel Energy actually had major implications cost-wise for us. It was nothing. We rode right through that. And a big reason why is because we belong to a much bigger, as a co-op, a G&T that was able to help share that risk and ride through that. And you're going to hear about that. But what are we doing on the distribution side with this changing environment we're seeing? It's the grid. It's the distribution grid. And we are leaning into this. Your co-op leads the way when it comes to community solar. We're adding our 4th one, and we're actively developing that, and you're going to see that where you can, rather than have something on your roof, you can buy into this. It's not even buy-in. You can subscribe to this, and you get a better payback, a quicker payback than if you wanted to have something on your roof in our community solar. Batteries, that's a big thing that's talked about and said. We're actively and ready to roll out a battery pilot program where people will actually pay people to let us control those batteries to help manage the grid of what that looks like. We're working on several microgrids. We're working on large distributed utility scale wind and solar projects right now. We're working very hard to manage the grid, but we wanted to manage it for you. Now, if you want to be that engaged where you want to look at your usage, you want to be all those things, we have apps for that, and we'll lean into that and do that. But I think the vast majority, they want a cleaner grid, but they want it to make sure it stays on, they want to make sure it's affordable, and you want an easy button. You want us to take care of it, and we're going to do that. And we're focused on that as we move forward. Now, I do want to close with the employee team. I mentioned this several times throughout being up here, but it truly is, for me, I'm incredibly blessed, honored, lucky to serve with the employees of Poudre Valley. We do more with less. We want to do exceptional service to you, our members. We believe that. We believe in the co-op. We believe that it's different, wholeheartedly different than an investor-owned utility. We are part of the community. We are here. And I can't thank every single one of the employees enough for all the hard work and everything that they do. So thank you, guys. One thing, though, with the Poudre Valley difference, and something that you can continue to count on, and I heard this one time from somebody much wiser than me, cold beer, hot showers. We'll make sure at the end of the day, you're going to have cold beer, hot showers, you're going to be able to afford it. When you're ready to have your fridge, it's going to be there, hot water, you name it. Cold beer, hot showers, we're all in. Thank you guys so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Jay Sturhan. Now, Jay's with Tri-State. He's the executive vice president. He is an attorney, but don't be worried, because maybe be worried.
Yeah.
But anyways, Jay, floor is yours.
Well, I hope you're not worried, because I'm not going to sit up here and do 30 minutes of most interesting legal cases I've read in the last week. But what I am going to talk about is resiliency and reliability, because that is the focus at Tri-State. And I first want to say thanks for having me here today, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank Jeff, not only for the leadership at Poudre Valley, but the leadership that he shows at Tri-State. We are a wholesale power supplier, and Jeff leads by asking me a lot of hard questions and not accepting easy answers. And I have to say that it's refreshing to hear Jeff, because he knows the business so well and has led this co-op so well. To have that opportunity to learn from him and to have his experience at Tri-State has been wonderful. And then I also have to thank Thane Mickey, who is your board representative at Tri-State. And Thane leads in the same way. He asks hard questions and doesn't take easy answers. And these aren't easy times, because as you heard Jeff talk about, the industry, the market, the world in which we live is changing, and it's changing fast. And so what we see is higher risk. And that's really kind of breaks down into two different parts. One is everything is electrifying. So as we become more and more reliant on electricity, if we don't have a secure, reliable, resilient power source, it just creates more risk. But also we're transitioning the way in which we provide power. And so what was a reliance on coal and gas to provide reliable sources of power is changing, and it's changing relatively quickly. And that's good. Adding solar, adding wind, it's affordable, it is clean, but it's not always on. And so we've had to do three things as we think about how do we continue to improve reliability, and how do we allow Jeff to do the work that he has to do and his employees to do the work that he has to do for you? Well, one is we had to change the way we thought about planning for the system. We had to think about improving reliability metrics and putting out and planning and analyzing and actually looking at the system and making sure that we were achieving these reliability metrics, and have arrived at what we call Level 2 reliability metrics, which looks at severe weather events both in the summer and in the winter and says, will the system be reliable and will it serve the members' needs? And then the second thing we have to do is take that planning and actually execute on it. And that's what we're doing right now. We're in the midst of a major energy transition, as I said, moving away from what we call these dispatchable resources that can be brought up and powering your homes and businesses and ranches and farms in a relatively short period of time when we're relying on wind and power. How do we do that? And one of the ways that we're doing that is bringing online new solar and wind resources, looking at the addition of batteries, leveraging federal funds that are available to allow us to make this transition so that it is cleaner and more and reliable but stays affordable. And we're working through a process at the Colorado Public Utilities Commission to present our plan that we think is going to allow Tri-State to serve its members with more affordable, more clean, and more reliable electricity. And then finally, what's the third part of this? Is being able to react to the unexpected. So for instance, in a high wind event like today, are we ready to respond when there are events and when there are issues? And we think we are. And one of the things we take great pride on is not only building a reliable system, but a resilient one. And by that we mean one that reacts in a timely and effective manner when there are issues. The other thing that we're looking at is expanded market participation. And what this really means is that Tri-State, through coordination with other utilities and working with them to develop a system that allows for efficient use of the power so that we are more coordinated with other utilities around Colorado and even outside of Colorado. And we will be bringing online in 2026, first quarter, hopefully, what we call a regional transmission organization. And that will allow us to continue to coordinate, building out transmission, having it available, and using it in the most efficient manner possible so that all utilities are working together and trying to respond to the increased demand and the reliability needs. So at Tri-State, we really focus on four things. And the first I've been talking about is reliability and resiliency. But the second is affordability. And as Jeff showed you, one of the things that we are critically focused on is making sure that we are managing our members' resources as efficiently as possible and allowing rates to be as low as they can be. And then flexibility. So we know that as the market changes and as the grid changes and as opportunities develop for more distributed generation, we have to provide our members the opportunity to do that. And that's requiring changes both in the technology, but also in the legal and the regulatory front. And we're committed to making sure that our members have that flexibility. And then finally, responsibility. And by responsibility, what we mean is not only meeting but exceeding greenhouse gas emission targets, but also responsibly providing that power so that it stays on. So I'll just close with two successes that I think we're quite proud of. There are two solar projects that we will be bringing online, and you see here some of the operational dates. And I'm happy to tell you that on Thursday, we actually closed the deal with the developer to bring Axel Basin Solar Project online in the fourth quarter of 2025. And that's a major accomplishment because these will be solar resources that Tri-State and its membership own. And then Dolores Canyon will be another of those. And so it's been a journey that we began, I would say, in 2019, and by no means is it over. We will be taking this journey together for the next many years, and it gives me great comfort, and also I just enjoy working with Jeff. And great opportunities exist and are available to us. So thank you again for having me here today, and congratulations.
And thank you for being here today, Jay. Next, I'd like to invite to the stage Kent Singer, the Executive Director of the Colorado Rural Electric Association.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, everybody. This is just really amazing to look out at this crowd. This is one of the truly the great honors of my career and the privileges of being able to get up and speak in front of 1,500 or so electric co-op member owners. It's the one time each year I get to do this, and it's just really a great honor, so thank you. Jeff gave a great history lesson about the REA program. It's always good to remind ourselves of where we came from and think about all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into creating this wonderful program. Poudre Valley was created in 1939. CREA was the trade association for all the co-ops in Colorado, was created in 1945, so shortly thereafter. And so we've been around a long time too. Our job as a trade association is to provide a certain level of services for all of our members. We're a small trade group headquartered down in Denver. So there are 22 co-ops, distribution co-ops, 21 are members of CREA, and Tri-State's also a member of CREA. And those co-ops serve about 70% of the land mass of the state of Colorado. Just as Jeff was pointing out, there was no electric service back then in the late 30s. And to this day, co-ops are serving a great portion of the land mass of Colorado. CREA has basically 4 functions. We do a lot of education and training for co-op directors and co-op staff. We have a great communications team. Jeff mentioned Colorado Country Life magazine that you all receive, and we do a lot of other communication work. We have a safety team. All of your co-ops have tremendous safety records and safety staff, and Poudre Valley in particular has got a fantastic safety record. We try to supplement our co-op safety work with our folks on our team as well. And then finally, we have a government relations staff, and we do a lot of work with the Colorado General Assembly, our legislature. This meeting pretty much every year coincides with about the 3/4 mark of our legislative session. Every year the legislature meets for 120 days. There's about 30 days left in this year's legislative session, and we're down there every day. We have a government relations team, lobbyists who are at the Capitol protecting your interests, protecting co-ops' autonomy and independence. And I think we've had a very good session so far in doing that. We've amended quite a few bills to kind of push back on jurisdictional creep that sometimes comes in certain bills of the legislature. And we have a month to go, though, and there are several significant energy policy bills that are yet to be introduced, and we're going to be watching those very carefully. Jeff talked about, and Jay talked about, this energy transition we're going through. And Colorado really is sort of at the forefront of that when you look at all the other states in terms of transitioning away from certain kinds of fossil fuel energy producing portfolios to more renewable. And so while we're in that process, though, the main goal of Poudre Valley and every co-op is to continue to provide reliable, affordable power, and we always remind the legislature that that's our job. So we'll, again, continue to watch the legislative process here in the last 30 days, and I'm optimistic that we won't have bills that will really affect co-ops all that much, although there's always pressure to kind of push the envelope and do this quicker and faster. And again, we're trying to let people know we need to have natural gas supplies to back up the renewables, and so we're, I think, making some progress on that front. The last thing I just wanted to say is just to thank you to all of you. You know, a few pennies of your bill help support CREA and our services. We appreciate that. We wouldn't exist but for the support of our members, but also the great leaders of this program, many of whom are here today. Certainly Jeff, as the CEO of Poudre Valley, the Poudre Valley Board. Jack Schneider is the president, is also on the CREA board, has been for many years, and has been a tremendous supporter of CREA, as has your co-op. We've also got a couple other directors on our board, Jenny Busick from United Power, past president of CREA, and Larry Archibek from Empire Electric down in Cortez is also here today. Also great leaders for CREA's board. So with that, just again, 85 years is an amazing accomplishment. Congratulations on all you do, and here's to the next 85. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Kent. We're starting to wind down, but we're going to do a few more door prizes as your board chair, Jack Schneider, makes his way back up to the stage. Tony, you ready? Let's give away some prizes.
I would like to thank you all for attending Poudre Valley REA's 85th annual meeting. I will now ask for a motion to adjourn before we announce the election results and the Luck of the Draw scholarship and the grand prize winner. Is there a motion to adjourn? It has been moved and seconded that we adjourn. At this time, I would like to invite Amy and Mike back to the stage.
It is my pleasure to announce the results of the 2024 election. The successful candidates are as follows. Position L2, Stephen Anderson. Position L6, Thane Mickey. Position W1, Peter Highland. Congratulations.
Okay, our time is coming to close. We really hope that you've enjoyed your time with us today. I know we have a few other things, including what I left sitting on the table. Thank you. That would come in handy in a few minutes. All right, so first thing, we have a big event coming up this fall. So we are celebrating our 85th anniversary. So we'd like to invite you all out to the office, that field behind it where we've had some events. We're gonna have a big celebration in October, so be looking for some information about that. It's gonna be a great time. And then also we're already looking forward to next year while we're standing here. So April 5th, 2025, we'll be right back here at the Embassy Suites. So please make plans to attend them if you plan that far in advance. All right. So now, this is one of the things we love to give out. This is a Luck of the Draw scholarship. So we have some students that are in attendance today, and we are going to draw the name for a $1,000 Luck of the Draw scholarship to go towards their higher education.
All right, thanks, Amy. We're going to draw the name. Connor LaRue on Nations Way. Connor, you here?
Connor?
There he is.
All right.
Congratulations, Connor.
Connor, you can just make your way up to the stage at the end of the meeting. We want to take a photo, and we'll hand you that scholarship. And now, I know this is what you've been waiting for. This is the winner of our grand prize drawing, a $3,000 travel voucher to anywhere. I have not seen this, so let's see if I might need some glasses. Let's see. Doug Race. Do we have a Doug Race in the house? Oh wait, I see a hand. All right, we have a big winner in the back. So I'll ask you to come up for a photo as well. And so today, that wraps up our annual meeting. It's been a great pleasure to be here with you today, and we really look forward to serving you in the future. So we will see you next year, and be safe driving home, and thank you for being here and being a member